children, this is CH Padma, your English teacher, ZPH School Sisali, Karl Mandal, West Godavari District, Andhra Pradesh. Can a man become invisible? This is the story of a scientist who discovers how to make himself invisible. Today we are going to learn a lesson from 10th class supplementary reader Footprints Without Feet. Before we enter into the module, let us have a look overview of the narration. Overview of the module. Read and find out. Think about it. Talk about it. Let us move on to learning objectives. Learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to tell about the main character and his occupation in the story. Recognize the different experiments of the character that could make a man invisible. Describe how the scientists developed a formula to turn invisible. Explain how scientists' experiments proved that the human body could become invisible. Explain in how many ways the scientist misused his discovery. Recognize that the scientist Griffin was a lawless person. Now we move on to talk about the author. About the author, H.G. Wells. He was born on 21st September 1866. An English writer who wrote many genres, novels, short stories, social commentary, satire, autobiography, and biography. Jules Verne and Hugo Gernsback are also often known as the fathers of the science fiction. Died on 13th August 1946. Okay children, now switch on to theme of the story. Theme of the story. The author H.G. Wells describes the story Footprints Without Feet, how a scientist misused his discovery. The summary of Footprints Without Feet is a thought-provoking story about a scientist named Griffin. The story revolves around the rare formula of invisibility developed by the scientist. He developed a drug and after swallowing it, it made him invisible. When he became invisible, none felt him physically. Okay children, let us move on to the read and find out. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh muddy imprints of pair of bare feet. Footprints followed one after another, descending the steps and progressing down the street. The boys followed fascinated until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter and at last disappeared altogether. The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. The bewildered boys had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make human body transparent. Brilliant scientist Griffin was a lawless person. His landlord disgraced him and tried to eject him. In revenge, Griffin set fire to the house. To get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. Thus it was that he became homeless wanderer, without clothes, without money, and quite invisible. He escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London. Okay, children, let us move on to glossary. Glossary. Descending, bewildered, eject, wanderer, invisible, escape. Let us know the meanings of these difficult words. Okay, children? Come. Descending. An arrangement in the highest to lowest format. Bewildered. Confused. Eject. Force. Wanderer. A person who travels aimlessly. Invisible. Unable to be seen. Escape. Break free from control. Okay, children, let me ask you some questions in assessment part. Let us go. Come, let us go to first question. Who was the author of the story Footprints Without Feet? Here are your options. A. MV01, B. H.G. Wells, C. John Keats. Come on, give me answer. Very good, children. H.G. Wells is the right answer. Let us move on to second question. Here is your second question. What was the name of this scientist? Option A, Griffin. Option B, Newton. Option C, C.V. Raman. Come on, guess the answer. Very good, children. Griffin is the right answer. Here we go, the third question. What can a drug cause? Here are your options. It makes a person visible. Option B, it makes a person happy. Option C, it makes a person invisible. Can you guess the answer? Okay, well done, children. C is the right option. It makes a person invisible. Very good. Again, we move on to read and find out part. Read and find out. The scientist was feeling cold, due to which he entered a garment shop to feel warm. When the store shut down, he picked some garments and wore them to feel comfortable. After that, he ate cold meat and some espresso from the kitchen of a cave. He then decided to sleep on a stack of quilts in that store. However, the next morning, some store associates had started following him before he woke up. He then removed all his clothes to become invisible again. Now the scientist is traveling here and there without any clothes in the frigid winter. After a few days, the scientist decided to get some garments and something to cover his face from a theater company. He stole a hat, dark glasses, and some bandages for covering his face. Even he stole all the money from the shopkeeper by hitting him. He realized that London is overcrowded and not the right place to live the life of an invisible man. So he decided to move to small village named Iping. Okay, children. Now we move on to meanings of difficult words. Here are some difficult words. Garment, espresso, frigid. Let us know the meanings. Garment, an item of clothing. Espresso, a type of strong black coffee. Frigid, very cold in temperature. Okay, children, let me ask you some questions. Are you ready? Let us go. Come to the first question. Brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a dash person. Here are your options. Option A, lawless. Option B, good. Option C, rude. Come on, guess the answer. Very good, children. You done a great job. Brilliant scientist, though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. Well done. Let us move to second question. What suggests that he was a homeless wanderer? Here are your options. No clothes, no money, both of the above. Come on, guess the answer. Very good, children. C is the right option. Both of the above. You've done a great job. Here is your third question. Why was it a bad time to wander about in London without clothes? Option A. It was rainy season. Option B. It was very hot. Option C. It was bitterly cold. Come on, children, guess the answer. Wow, C is the right answer. It was bitterly cold. Great job. Okay, children. Again, we turn our heads towards read and find out. Let's go. The scientist booked 2 rooms at a quest house. The arrival of an outsider at an inn at winter times was an unusual incident. The landlord's wife, Mistress Hall, tried her best to make the guest comfortable and behave friendly. However, Griffin has shown no interest in falling talking with owners. Instead, he said that his reason for coming to this village is a desire for privacy. He expressed that he doesn't want any disturbance and interference in his work. The scientist said that an accident affected his face. All of his statements made the owner satisfied as well as rent in advance. Mistress Hall was ready to forgive all his irritable temper or strain. However, the stolen money did not last for a long time, and soon Griffin realized that he had no money left. He did not admit in front of Mistress Hall and made a statement that his check was arriving at a party. The summary of footprints without feet shows scientists not only misusing the discovery but also putting him in trouble. One day, the house owner and his wife woke up early in the morning. They were surprised after seeing that the scientist's room door was open, as it is normally shut and locked. They thought if any thief or some stranger entered his room, they took advantage of the opportunity and started investigating in his room. However, they observed extraordinary things there. In some time, the bedroom chair became alive and started springing in the air. It put both of them out of the room and locked the door. Mistress Hall was convinced that there were spirits in the room. At that point, the constable was requested to inquire about these signs, identity, and what he did to furnishings. It made him annoyed, due to which he decided to show his identity as a headless man. However, People were unable to catch the scientist. Okay, children. Shall I ask you some questions from the above passages? Let us go. Here is your first question. What was the name of the village? Here are the options. A. Iping village. Option B. Cookham village. Option C. Highgate village. Come on, children. Guess the answer. Very good, children. Iping village is the right answer. Come to the second question. What did Griffin steal? Here are your options. Clothes and money, flowers and fruits, biscuits and chocolates. Come on, guess the answer, children. Very good. Clothes and money is the right answer. Here is your third question. Who was the owner of the inn? Here are your options. Mistress Elizabeth, Mistress Slater, Mistress Hall. Come on, children. Guess the answer. Wow, very good. C is the right answer. Mistress Hall is the owner of the inn. Okay, children. Let us move on to think about it. Think about it. Griffin was rather a lawless person. Comment. How would you assess Griffin as a scientist? Let us move on to talk about it. Talk about it. Would you like to become invisible? What advantages and disadvantages do you foresee if you did? Are there forces around us that are invisible, for example, magnetism? Are there aspects of matter that are invisible or not visible to the naked eye? What would the world be like if you could see such forces or such aspects of matter? What makes glass or water transparent? What is the scientific explanation for this? Do you think it would be scientifically possible for a man to become invisible or transparent? Keep in mind that writers of science fiction have often turned out to be prophetic in their imagination. Children, take a while and talk about these things with your class teacher. I will suggest you some books. Let us go. Suggested reading The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. As Far as the Human Eye Can See by Isaac Asimov. It Happened Tomorrow, E.D. Bal Ponke. Okay, children, let us conclude the lesson. Conclusion of the Footprints Without Feet. In this chapter, we understand human nature's tendency to take advantage of their discoveries for their own good instead of using them for humanity. The story of an invisible man shows how people misuse their discoveries for the sake of comfort and money. Okay, children, hope you are all enjoyed this lesson. This is the time to wind up our session. Until then, take care. Bye bye.